Good early afternoon. We are live. You have joined us on the Blue Plate Special. I'm Andy Andrews, and we're broadcasting live from Orange Beach, Alabama. We are here at the Wharf, the beautiful skyscraper here in the financial district of Orange Beach, Alabama. If you haven't visited, please come in. And you got to see down here, the cornerstone of the Wharf is Sand Dollar Lifestyles. It's where I get my shirt. Just like Monty Hall had his clothes from Botany 500, and Wink Martindale, his wardrobe was from Dicker and Dicker in Beverly Hills. Mine is from Sand Dollar. So, a t-shirt. Yep. And they have a million t-shirts you can choose from. If you visit us, make sure that you come in here and say hi. We have like kind of a museum. We got World War II stuff. We've got memorabilia from the Andrew Griffith Show. We have autographed books. We have, what do you call those things on the wall? What do you call those things?
Canvases.
Canvases. We have canvases. So, and I took the pictures. We actually trade these out back here. And if you visit us, make sure you see the Marlin statues, of which there are two, and make sure you get your picture taken with the escalator statues. It's like, these are like, they're rare, I think. I mean, the Marlin statues are, I mean, you wouldn't look at the Marlin statues. It's made of stainless steel, and so you wouldn't look at the Marlin statues and think, wow, that's like a real Marlin jumping out of the ground. I mean, you wouldn't think that. But the escalator statues, you could, yeah, I mean, these things are life-size. They are to scale. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you can get your picture taken with the escalator statues. We have 4 of them scattered around the corners. Marcy Cross's Heather, good morning. So you got snow last night in Pasco, Washington. Man, it's hot here. Sandy Atkins, happy Tuesday from El Salvador. Glad to have you, El Salvador. Bernadine Pate, Karen Jones. Well, you ready for a midday break? I'm ready to give you one. Hey, Christy Woods. Christy is my sister, so we're glad she's here. We have a very full studio today with a lot of smiling people. Oh, we're going to find out how many countries we got here. States and countries. Hey, Kevin Perkins, the old man's here. Let's see, Minnesota, where's Minnesota? Minnesota, is it cold or hot where you are? It's cold? Okay, well, I know you're glad here. Michigan, bunch of Michiganders. Do they call you Minnesotans? Okay. You know, Minnesota. Is that what you call it up there, a soda? Or is it a pop? It's a pop in Minnesota? Minnesota pop? So, I mean, because I know that some parts of the country it's like a pop, and then some part it's a soda. But down here in the South, it's a Coke. Everything. It's like, hey, you want a Coke? Sure. What kind? Sprite. I mean, that's how we do it. You want a Coke? Yeah, I do. Orange? Yeah. Let's see. Indiana. Where's the Indians? There you are. Hey, you guys. Glad to have y'all here. It's 3 states. Arkansas? Man, there's a bunch of Arkansasiers. I know Chris Comer's probably watching today. He's probably happy y'all are here. Cheryl Herndon Phillips, howdy to you. Man, there's a lot of Arkansasiers. Wisconsin. Hey, Wisconsin. And somebody is from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Do you know that I was, have you been to Hot Springs, Arkansas? Okay, all right, so you're from Hot Springs. You just didn't want to raise your hand? I can't hear you. Yeah, I actually was in Hot Springs, Arkansas years ago. I performed. She is from Hot Springs? I can't hear what you're saying. Come here. Tell me, Julie from Iowa, what they're saying. Because everybody's going at her. What's the scoop?
Andy, she's the one that was there, right? That lady was there.
Was-
She wrote a little note to you.
She was
This lady right here,
Becky.
is from Hot Springs Flood years ago. Do you remember that?
I remember being in Hot Springs. You were there?
The flood.
The flood. I was at the Vapors. Yeah, I actually performed at the Vapors, which was kind of like going into an old mafia place or something. You know, it seemed kind of like that. But anyway, well, I'm glad you're here. Glad we survived the flood. And then there's Missouri. Hey, Missouri. All right. You guys anywhere near Branson? Kind of, somewhat. I've been to Branson several times. Yep. Very different place. Branson. Very different. But everybody's from in the country. If we had somebody from Mississippi, we got Mississippi and El Salvador, that would be three countries, America, Mississippi, and El Salvador. Anyway, we're glad y'all are here. We've got a good show for today. I'm kind of mad today, so we're going to talk about something I'm mad about. Shelley Hess, David Shelley, y'all are in New Zealand, and Neil Grimes, you rode the Ferris wheel out here. Okay, yeah, it's the largest Ferris wheel in the Southeast. That's what they say, the largest in the Southeast. Now, curiously, nobody says Southeast what? I mean, it could be, the largest Ferris wheel in Southeast Baldwin County, but the Southeast. Tim Broadhurst, are you here? Oh my gosh. Tim Broadhurst has a dog named Bridger, and it's just a puppy, and it weighs 90 pounds. It's like a Burmese mountain dog, and it's like 9 months old, 90 pounds, and when it's full grown, it's going to be 700 pounds. Not really. It'll be like 150. But I loved seeing your faces when I said 700. I mean, that was something. Doing English, beautiful day in San Antonio. And, all right, let's go with what I'm aggravated at. I have collected over the past few weeks some facts about labels that I was just kind of suspicious of. And so I've kind of dug into the truth on some of these labels on food. And I was very curious. That's what I found out. And I figured you might be interested. I mean, admit it, you don't really pay that much attention to the food or the labels, right? I mean, usually, but I have been really paying attention, to the labels, because on the package, like if it says natural and it's mostly brown, I mean, that usually means it's healthier than the colorful item right next to it, right? And so that's why I'm going for the brown item, because it says natural. But these labels can be deceiving, especially the ones that are trying to be deceiving and that want you to make this split-second decision while you're looking at a dozen different varieties of something. Okay, so here's the first one that I found. Wheat. Okay, wheat is a plant. It's in the grass family, and the seed is edible and it's highly starchy. Now, white flour is made from the inner starchy part of the wheat seed. White flour is. And it's made, wheat flour, whole wheat flour is made from the entire seed. Okay, not just the inside. It's made of the whole seed. It includes the wheat germ and the bran. So what you're getting if you buy wheat bread, or if the first ingredient in the list is wheat flour, most times you're buying white bread or bread that's made with white flour. If you're looking for whole wheat, you want to see the word whole in there. That's your only clue, is the word whole. Because even wheat bread is just like white bread, if it's white. That doesn't seem fair, does it? I mean, multigrain. Now this one works on our brains the same way as when you confuse wheat for whole wheat. Because whole grains are good, and many whole grain recipes use more than one grain. There's like wheat and barley and millet. But are you eating whole grains or just a lot of grains? Because once again, if you want whole grains, you got to pay attention to the word whole. And pay attention to where grains are located in the ingredients list. Because if the list starts off with unbleached, enriched wheat flour, that's white flour. That's what it is. And multiple whole grains can be just a sprinkling toward the end. It's like cheating. What about light? You remember that term? I mean, I don't know, 20 years ago, everything started being light. There was Pepsi Light and light this and light that. And I mean, you probably remember, when everything was that way. But the implication was that the light was lower in fat and sometimes lower in calories. And often it was only lower in fat, but made up the calories with extra sugar. All right, but it was light. And this is not so much a trend now, but you can still get light olive oil. That's one thing that you can get that's light. And light olive oil does not mean low fat, and it has never meant low calorie or anything like that. Light olive oil, you're not even gonna believe me when I say this. Light olive oil simply means that it has less olive taste. And it's lighter in color. So there's the name. And it has a higher smoke point, to burn faster. But it has the same 14 grams of fat, same 120 calories per tablespoon as extra virgin. Exactly the same. Which I always wonder about that term, extra virgin. There's light, there's olive oil, and then there's virgin olive oil. And then there's extra virgin. And my daddy always told me, you either you were or you weren't. I didn't know that there was degrees you could attain. Like, hey, if you hold out to your 25, you'll be an extra virgin. I didn't know that that's how it worked. But this label, actually has a strict definition, but I'm including it on the list because not many of us have given that definition much thought. Now, you know what the definition is? Organic. Organic just sounds healthier, doesn't it? I mean, or maybe you've heard the opposite, that organic doesn't mean much. So you think maybe it's a vague term like natural, but both these assumptions are wrong. Organic foods aren't necessarily healthier or better than their non-organic counterparts. Now, this is according to scientific testing. Okay, the organic definition is strictly regulated by the USDA, and it's a mishmash of things that various environmental groups have lobbied for. Pesticides used when growing crops must come from an approved list of natural pesticides, for example. And the meat have to come from animals fed organic feed. So does that make organic food healthier? Not necessarily, studies say. Studies have compared the two and where they find nutritional differences, they're very small, and they're the kind of thing where scientists can argue about the nuance, really, but not a really clear reason to choose one over the other. So, you know, I like to think that I'm good at seeing through this labeling stuff, but like natural, that's one. Natural. You know, and even I got burned by this. Have you ever bought natural peanut butter? Yeah? Okay. Now you can get the stuff that's like ground in the store or something, and it's just peanuts and salt. You can get that. You can get that at a health food store, just peanuts and salt, instead of Skippy or Jif or whatever you get that's packed with hydrogenated oil and sugar. But natural, I know Skippy comes in a brown jar with a brown lid, and it says natural. So that's got to be the same thing as the peanuts and salt, right? Natural. You check the label on Skippy's natural. Peanuts, sugar, palm oil, and salt. Not what you think you're eating at all. Regular peanut butter uses a mix of hydrogenated vegetable oil. So palm oil is more natural, I suppose. But the nutritional content between the regular and the natural Skippy is identical. It's identical. And get this. Now this just absolutely blew me away. Under U.S. law, food companies can use the word natural without having to meet any specific criteria or definition. Foods labeled that way are not necessarily healthier, simpler, or better for the environment. You don't even have to have anything to call it natural. So, I'm drinking my natural Mountain Dew from my coffee cup. How about, now this one will kill you, how about fat-free spray oil? You want to use less, now this one gets me. You want to use less oil in your cooking? Okay, flip over a can of Pam and look at what the spray contains. It says 0 calories and 0 grams of fat. Great. No calories there. All right, no calorie cooking. But 0 calories, 0 fat is only because a serving is listed as 1/4 of a second of spray. That's a serving. And if you hold the can a good 12 inches from your pan and barely touch the nozzle, maybe you can actually get a burst of spray to cover the pan. But that ain't necessarily enough to cook your eggs, and it's definitely not what most of us do. I'd say I use 3 or 4 seconds worth of spray, maybe more. And the spray is nearly entirely oil. It's not fat-free. It is fat. But the rules for nutrition labels say that if the serving contains less than 1/2 gram of fat, you can list it as containing 0 grams of fat. And if the serving contains less than 5 calories, you can report the calorie content as 0. So Pam and all this spray oil, it's just like, it's regular oil. The only thing that makes them supposedly low in calorie is that the serving size is like infinitesimal. I mean, that's it, you know. Now, my daddy would have said that's lying. You know, it's not technically lying, but if they're telling you something, they know you're believing something else. That's lying. You know what? I saw that, Chris Comer. I saw that. Excedrin migraine is exactly the same as Excedrin extra strength, but it's double the price. I mean, look at the labels. It's exactly the same thing, exactly the same amounts, and migraine's double the price. What about veggie snacks? You ever seen these things? You know, little crisps that are supposedly carrots and spinach, and there's a definite healthy sound to something that has vegetables on the label, and technically vegetables in the ingredient. But these veggie-based snacks mostly just have the merest touch of a vegetable. I mean, when they're making them, somebody probably like walked a carrot through the room or something, waved it around in the air. And they said, well, that's enough. You know, veggie straws, have you seen these veggie straws? The first few ingredients in veggie straws are potato starch, potato flour, and oil. And then there's this smidgen of spinach powder and tomato paste. And just a smidge of the spinach powder or carrot powder, and then tomato paste. And then like food coloring. I mean, nutritionally, they have more in common with potato chips than with any vegetable. I mean, it's really that's what it is. How about this one? Uncured bacon. You know, processed meats. People have been concerned about processed meats for a while, associated with health concerns and the nitrates found in cured meats like bacon, you know, that potentially affect blood pressure and other things with your heart. So it's understandable if you want to be cautious and eat less cured meat. Bacon or ham is not the way to do that. Okay, because it's still cured, meaning that nitrates are added to preserve the meat and to help it keep its pink color. But instead of being cured with sodium nitrite, it's cured with something like celery powder, which naturally contains nitrite. It naturally contains nitrite. But the labeling regulations require that celery cured bacon be labeled uncured, but chemically, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Are you guys ready to go to just like run down and like grab your torches and pitchfork and let's just go through the grocery store? I mean, all right, how about this one? Made with real fruit. Have you seen those little fruit gummy bears? Those things, the little fruit gummies? Welch's really wants us to believe that their gummy candy is healthier than, say, a bag of Doritos. I mean, the box has pictures of fruit all over it, and a big area of the text says, you know, talks about its vitamin content and the fact that it has no preservatives or gluten. Why would you expect preservatives and gluten to be in fruit? I mean, this show that we're doing today has no preservatives and it is gluten-free. I'm just telling you. Doesn't that make you want to just stay longer? But the label saying that the candies are made with real fruit is not necessarily a lie. You know, there's fruit puree in these things, and they've even managed to make it the first ingredient. You know, made with claims are usually required to have some kind of honesty to them, even if they're not made very much of the thing they're saying they're made of. But what does that end up meaning nutritionally? The per serving calories, carbs, and sugar are nearly identical to what's in a bag of gummy bears. The Welch's, you know, pure fruit, blah, blah, blah. It's nutritionally identical to gummy bears. 90 or 100 calories, 13 or 14 grams of added sugar, 0 grams of dietary fiber. It's still gummy candy, no matter how much they talk about it being fruit. All right, here's the last one. This is going to kill you, especially some of you connoisseurs. That's I made that up. That's like a combination of connoisseurs and cooks. Do you know what Adam did last night?
What's that?
Adam, I was about to go to bed, and Adam, he's our, well, that's him. Adam's our 20-year-old, and Adam comes in. He says, "Dad, have you ever made pasta?" It's like 10:30. Have you ever made pasta? No. He said, "Well, I think I want to make some pasta." Now I know Adam, so I said, "Now?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, how did you learn how to do this?" And he said, "I heard a guy on the radio talking about it." Oh, so you're definitely an expert. Well, he got 6 eggs out, and he cracks 6 eggs into a bowl, and he says you're supposed to separate the white and the yolk. And he's got 6 of them broken into a bowl. And I said, "Well, you know, the way you usually do that is as you're cracking the egg, and take it and kind of go back and forth and let the white fall out until you just got the yolk." He said, "Well, I didn't do that, did I?" I said, "No, you didn't." And so, you know what he did?
No.
You're already laughing. He took a Mountain Dew plastic bottle, and he squeezed it and then stuck it down on one of those yolks and went, and then took it over here and squeezed it into another bowl, and then squeezed it and I mean, and he had them separated pretty quickly. But then he said, "What kind of flour do you use in pasta?" I said, "Buddy, you're the expert. You're the one that listened to the thing." And he said, "Well, I'm just going to get this kind." And I'm not really sure what kind he got. But he didn't pour it in a bowl. He poured it all out on a tray, which means he also got it all over everywhere. But he had it on a tray, and he did this little hollow thing out, and he put his 6 egg yolks in the middle. And first with a fork, he started, kind of stirring, adding a little flour, kind of like you see your grandmama make biscuits or something, And then it gets kind of dry enough. Now he's doing it with his hands and puts some flour on it and turn it over. And so he finally has this yellow glob that's about as big as this coffee cup. And he said, "Now you're supposed to let it rest for 10 minutes. "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I got to let it rest on wood." Oh, so he gets out a cutting board and we time it. I mean, now I'm not going to bed. I'm being entertained, And so then he starts rolling it out after 10 minutes. And he rolls it out as thin as he can possibly roll it. And then it's stuck to the counter. And he's supposed to roll the other side, which I never saw anything you roll the other side, but he said, "No, I'm supposed to roll the other side." So he kind of scraped it off and turned it over and floured that side and then rolled that. But then he cut it into strips. And I said, "So what are you going to boil it in?" He said, "Water." Thinking that sounds very tasty. Flour and eggs boiled in water. But he put some salt in the water, and then he got some tomato paste and put garlic in it and everything, and had this going over here while he boils his noodles, and gets them out, puts them in the tomato paste, stirs them around. He gave me a little plate. I was shocked. I mean, he made pasta. I don't know if that's how you're really supposed to make it, but I mean, I'm sure somewhere people have machines that make it. But for a boy with, for a guy with a rolling pin and pot of hot water, I thought he did pretty good. Okay, so here's the last odd fact about food. Now, and this is pink salt. Okay, you've seen the pink salt everywhere. I even saw in the grocery store the other day, even Morton's now has pink salt. It comes in a pretty little decorative thing, even Morton's. So for decades, I mean, I was under the impression that salt was white. You know, table salt, sea salt, kosher salt, whatever. Sky's blue, salt is white. I mean, that's just how things were. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, and for reasons that were not clear to me at the time, and still not really clear, much of the salt that I was encountering was suddenly pink. How many of you have bought some pink salt? You bought some? I have too. I bought some pink salt, and I didn't really know why. It just kind of seemed like the right thing to do. You know, it was pretty, and all pink salt, at least all that I've seen, is branded as Himalayan. It's right there near Pakistan. And pink salt is now available in food products and beauty products and home decor brands, and Instagram influencers insist it will help you regulate your blood sugar and your sleep cycle. You can buy a set of shot glasses carved out of pink Himalayan salt for about $30 at Williams-Sonoma. They'd be putting the margarita in the salt shot glass. But although pink Himalayan salt is perfectly functional for its intended culinary purpose, making food salty, it's never been particularly prized before. I mean, it's been around for a jillion years. And I was in the Denver airport, and I asked one of the clerks, you know, I said, what is this pink salt? What is it good for? And she said, being pink. It's good for being pink. I mean, but most people saw it. They liked it. And I think people have reverse engineered this justification for using it. You know, it's pink, and so it's got to be better for you. And that kind of stuff often hinges on, you know, finding elevated levels of minerals in the salt, which it has different minerals. That's what gives it its pink look. But even though these minerals are present, the health claims that are attached to them, as far as I can find, are fiction. I mean, this story of pink salt coming out of the mountains and being mined from these ancient seabeds is romantic, and pink salt's more expensive than its less photogenic counterparts. A 5-pound bag of pink Himalayan salt from Saltworks costs you $19 compared to $11 for Mediterranean sea salt in the same quantity and same coarseness. It's theater. It's theater. It's, you know, it's like, would you like some of this regular salt, or would you like some flecks of pink unicorn horn on your steak? I mean, it's just like, it's kind of a made-up marketing thing. And functionally, it's good for everything that salt is good for. You know, there's gray salt, there's black salt, there's brown salt, and you can go online and you can see the prices of this stuff elevates according to how pretty it is. The gray salt is the cheapest stuff you can get. And then there's like white, and then the brown, and there's this kind of purple brown, and then there's black, then there's pink. I wonder, you know, if I mean, they call it Mediterranean sea salt, and, you know, there's sea salt, and in Alaska, you can get Alaskan sea salt, which is, somebody's dipping out a thing of water and boiling it. It's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, here, when we cook crabs or something, you can put water from your hose in the pot to boil your crabs, and then put half a thing of Morton salt in there, or you can just reach off the dock and dip up a thing of water and boil it. But I wonder if you called it Pakistani salt, if people would be that fired up about it. I just wonder.
Okay. One thing I think is funny with the salt, you go and look at the pink Himalayan salt and read the description. It's like, this comes from a 2 million year old whatever or something. And then it's like, look at the bottom of it and you're like, what are the chances it expires next year?
No, isn't that funny? Do you know that the expiration dates are another thing that are kind of iffy, especially with pharmaceuticals? Because did you know that when the expiration date is out, that doesn't mean that the medicine is no longer good or is ineffective. What that means is that is as long as they tested it. Like if they tested it to be good for 3 years, the expiration date is 3 years. That don't mean it won't last 40. They only tested it for 3. There's a lot of semantics in this stuff. Think about Huckleberry Hound. Does he look like a hound to you? He don't look like a hound to me. I don't know what kind of dog that is, but it's not a hound. And I've never seen a coyote carrying an anvil. Never seen one with rocket shoes. I'm trying to think of, the cartoons that we used to watch when we were little? Man, those cartoons. Well, let's put it this way. I love those cartoons. Bugs Bunny is still my favorite. I still love Bugs Bunny. But they've stopped doing those cartoons because they said that they're violent. And have you ever heard anybody dropping an anvil on somebody from a cliff? Have you? Right? I mean, have you ever heard of somebody doing a dynamite trap for somebody's out jogging? And I'm disappointed. It's all just a big lie. Kevin Perkins said, but they can order the heck out of Acme products. Yep, they sure can. All right, you guys. Well, listen, if you're joining us online, we're glad that you're here. We appreciate you being here. And we're going to have more silliness on Thursday. And we got something special planned on Thursday. That's the Wisdom Harbor edition of the Blue Plate Special. But if you are joining us online, we appreciate you being here. If you joined us in the studio audience, I'm going to change shirts, and I'm going to come right back out here, and I'm going to record something. So we'll play the music and say goodbye to the people online. So we'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.